Okay, Peregrine Productions Nation, we're taking on a brutal army that outnumbers ours by several 100,000, so I'm going to need you to like and subscribe and reply to any Mercy apologists in the comments. Tell them how cool Winston is to counteract the oncoming swarm of the Hornet's Nest I'm about to dropkick. There have been multiple times in which a character has been released that is overwhelmingly poorly designed that they completely take over a game and ruin it for all players. Examples of this include Kassadin from League of Legends, Meta Knight from Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Brigitte from Overwatch, and Zacian from Pokemon. However, these game-ruining characters often don't last too long. Hotfixes, reworks, nerfs, and community bans will usually fix these issues when given enough time, so it's rare that a character can ruin a game for an extended period of time, which is why Mercy stands out above all the rest, as her reign of ruining Overwatch has lasted 10 years. And unlike these other characters, Mercy's effects manifest outside of individual games as well. As mentioned 2 months ago now in my video covering Mercy and Moira's characters, I stated that I believe Mercy is potentially the most unhealthy character in a game I've ever seen, and I stand by that statement to this day. I cannot think of another character who has done more damage to a game's reputation, ranked ladder, and community than Mercy, but to understand the whole story we first have to start from a design perspective. Mercy is designed to be a very beginner-friendly character, a low elo pick. She's made to be the ultimate supportive character, focusing on transforming one member of the team from a carry to a hyper carry, offering aimless healing and damage boost, and the ultimate supportive ability of all, complete resurrection. Her kit was aimed to be simple, freeing up brain space so they are able to keep tabs on enemy locations, track cooldowns and ultimate abilities, with the trade-off of being unable to fight back due to her pea-shooter being fucking garbage. Her unmatched movement abilities make her difficult to keep track of and hard to hit for low fire rate, high damage heroes at lower ranks. Once support heroes got the hang of the game, learned how to position, basic cooldown management and counterpicking, Mercy was supposed to be dropped in favour of learning more skill expressive and valuable characters such as Lucio or Zen at the start of the game, then at later dates Anna and Baptiste. However, some people chose to never move on from their beginner character, wanting to play their easy character forever, which, in theory, shouldn't be a problem, because the people who play low-skill characters usually can't reach the higher ranks due to the character holding them back. The problem with this theory is that Mercy players have Blizzard's development team by the ballsack. Let me explain. Mercy's passive, submissive, violence-adverse and Dead by Daylight-esque playstyle has encouraged a lot of casual gamers, generally quite submissive people or like the gamer girl stereotype, into playing Mercy, and leaving her currently sitting at the number 2 most picked hero in the game, only behind Anna. However, unlike Anna, a large majority of Mercy players are Mercy one-tricks, meaning that when Mercy is in a bad position, like being unviable, these people, known as the Mercy Mafia, will relentlessly harass and attack Team 4 employees until Mercy gets wrongfully buffed to be viable at all levels, in spite of the fact she shouldn't be. And also, since these people only play Mercy, once Mercy becomes unviable, so do they. So they end up going on catastrophic loss streaks where whichever team gets the Mercy one trick instantly loses due to them refusing to swap, and God forbid if they do, since all of the other characters they play are at a skill level several ranks below where they are now. Now yes, this D-ranking does eventually lead to the players being placed where they truly should be, because, let's face facts here, if you only play one character at a certain rank, you are not a member of that rank. But in this process, you subject a lot of innocent players to losses that were the fault of the balance team rather than their individual skill, which makes them hate Mercy players, and you make Mercy players quit the game, which unfortunately for Overwatch is an insanely large amount of the player base. Or, even worse, they go on support strike, further tarnishing the reputation of innocent Mercy players and the Overwatch community in general. Another reason why Mercy is designed so poorly is a lack of influence on the game. To an extent, every character has some kind of influence on the game. Each character, when played at their best, can completely change the outcome of a fight. Mercy, however, cannot. As Mercy is reliant on her DPS, it spawned a saying, a Mercy is only as good as her DPS, which has remained true for all 10 years of her release, except from the 2018 Moth meta, which was the last time Mercy could have any impact on the game outside of pocketing her DPS. This means that with very little skill invested, any Mercy with the mind of a bronze player can hit platinum by simply pairing with a good DPS. This problem is then brought to its logical extremes with the advent of the r/heal slots phenomenon, in which Mercy players exchange nudes to pred-scan smurfs to carry them through the ranks, until their smurf daddy finds a Mercy younger than them and drops her, so now she's stuck deranking from GM till the next future child predator decides he wants a living fleshlight in his voice call. In fact, I think it could be reasonably argued that Mercy is one of the greatest pieces of enabling smurfing or cheating in Overwatch due to how picking her essentially steals resources from the rest of the team, putting it all into one player. You see, one of the unique things about Overwatch is that if an entire team of shit-low players really smack their heads together just right, they have what it takes to defeat a smurf on the enemy team, due to things like enemy players not doing their jobs properly. However, a smurf DPS does not have to worry about the Ana missing shots on him and not doing their job properly if the smurf is being pocketed by a Mercy, who can heal and empower him without needing to aim or think about positioning, because the smurf is naturally going to have good positioning, so all the Mercy needs to do is copy him. Then, if the shit-low players somehow do manage to kill him, he is resurrected in 1.5 seconds, which personally I find to be an insanely short amount of time considering how large of an impact undoing a kill is. Now we move on to the community aspect. Here's a fun test for you. If I asked you, who is a small group of people that the majority of people dislike, who control a disproportionate amount of money and control and to constantly get their way and use their status as an oppressed minority to silence all critics, regardless of if the criticism is valid or not? If I was to say that, would I be talking about the Mercy Mafia or APAC? Here's a tip, you can't tell the fucking difference. As mentioned earlier, the Mercy Mafia is the most toxic cesspit of Overwatch, bringing the reputation of the game even further down into the mud. Their level of entitlement is unmatched by any other group in the game. If their character isn't good, they get to harass and attack devs while maintaining their cute ooh reputation, while providing confirmation bias to all of the negative stereotypes around gamer girls. For example, girls only playing skillless characters, girls being carried by their boyfriends, and girl gamers using sexism as a blanket statement to deflect genuine criticism. And I mean this, it is my personal belief that after playing this game for 10 years, the creation of Mercy has single-handedly set back the normalization of women in gaming by at least 15 years. But God forbid you say that, because if you say that, that makes you an incel. And that's the thing that sucks about this the most, because although yes, you could argue that what I just said is victim blaming to a certain degree, however, I trust that those who are long-term subscribers know that what I'm saying comes from a well-meaning place. Stereotypes can only be defeated by not feeding into them, and I think right now, with online misogyny being at an all-time high, now more than ever, you should probably stop being the exact thing that incels claim you are. Like I said last video, all you're doing is feeding into confirmation bias, but even this shouldn't have been a problem in the first place because this was never a problem about gender in gaming. This is a character design problem. Male Mercy one-tricks are just as guilty in all of this, but you'd never hear that because the Murphy Mafia did the ultimate Zionist move by linking their actions to their identity and creating a culture war topic out of just bad game design. Now, back in the game, let me talk about how it feels to play with and against Mercy. When it comes to hero design, most heroes are either great to play with and horrible to play against, horrible to play with but great to play against, or great to play with and great to play against. Mercy is somehow both bad to play with and bad to play against. Obviously it's horrible to play with Mercy because you're essentially down a player who is queued with a DPS refusing to heal the rest of the team or swap characters. So you'd think playing against a Mercy would be a blessing, but Resurrect completely ruins engages, particularly on defense. The rush of happiness and adrenaline you get after first picking someone is immediately taken away, leaving you depressed and not ready for the next fight, after the Mercy's carry DPS is instantly brought back to life by an ability that, when used correctly, is impossible to counter, due to the existence of walls. Going forward, to fix this character, there's 3 options. 1. Ignore everything, devs. Keep smashing your head against a wall and bow down to your insane fans willing to dox you for touching Mercy's kit. That doesn't sound good, does it? 2. Ban Mercy from the competitive ladder. If you can't balance her and she's ruining the game, she can be a quick play and arcade only hero. Ranked competitive should be for ranked competitive characters and players only. 3. Mercy rework, very heavy, ground up kind of thing. In my mind 3 is the greatest option because in actuality most Mercy mains are a lot better at the game than they think. They just choose not to play the game because scrolling TikTok on your phone while playing the game gives more of a dopamine hit than just regular gameplay. I think that the introduction of Flash Heal to the base kit was a move in the right direction. Giving more agency and skill expression to Mercy is the top priority right now. In my opinion, her primary and secondary fire are fine where they are. Not every character has to be an aiming character, and her ability to keep an eye out on a whole map is one of her greatest strengths, so I wouldn't want to take that away. However, her abilities need some serious, very, very serious tuning. Let's be honest, Guardian Angel being on a 1.5 seconds cooldown is a joke. This is unacceptable. No movement ability that powerful should be on that short of a cooldown, so personally speaking I would be increasing the range of GA and maybe adding a little bit more speed in exchanging for over doubling the cooldown to 3.5 seconds. giving Mercy faster and more interesting movement in exchange for the reliability and actually having to think about cooldown usage, a skill that all characters in the game except Mercy have to learn. By adding this to the kit, you are naturally teaching Mercy one-tricks about cooldown management, and when you do that, you lessen the gap between Mercy to Juno and Kiriko, who Mercy mains are too often intimidated to play due to the skill canyon between these two characters. Also, Resurrect needs some serious fine-tuning. This is a shockingly easy ability to get off for the value it holds, so in my opinion, the health of a resurrected target should scale on how long the Mercy is able to hold that res for. For example, a 0.5 second res can res a target on 1 HP, and a full 3 second res can completely heal the target. So either something like that, or have res require a Dead by Daylight QTE to go off, where a hit triggers a res at 50% health, and a perfect hit triggers a res at 100% health, and a complete miss does not resurrect in the slightest, burns the cooldown, and you've fucked up. This adds a lot more agency to Mercy, allowing her more skill expression, and lets her climb the ranks using her own actual skill instead of simply pocketing someone. As it currently stands, Res is probably the best ability in the game, with very little counterplay other than having to camp the kill, which heavily interrupts the flow of the gameplay, or the Mercy herself having to make a mistake. Every time I think about Mercy, I think, how has this not been fixed yet? Then my brain instantly goes back to the fact that the people who play her are so fucking unbelievably deranged, and that how much of this game's cash flow is so based on Mercy players purchasing skins. It honestly makes me feel bad for the developers, because I know that they know how bad this is. They can't do shit without risking waking up to their pet dog being crucified in skins with the words "Fix Mercy" written in blood on their bedroom wall. That shit must honestly just suck. Let's hope we get a proper rework going, or I guess we keep suffering. But you know, that's it. Bye. And as always, big shout out to my eggs, Cameron Wilson Fenn, Cherry Balls, God Noodle, Lord Gracos, Persistent, Despair, Brian, and Zoe. Thank you for the continued support.